Mason is here after finally finding the link. I had to send to him, but Janice knew right away what the link was. Yeah, I know. I just like that. That was so rude of me. I'm so sorry.
You caught me mid drinking my hoppy refresher, so
Of course. And Ellen Adair is here.
Hello.
Ellen, so good to see you.
So good to see you. I love when you do the thing where you like point at the ticker like it's an old school infomercial. Like I could just
gotta
watch
do
it
that.
all day.
And if you know, look at this person, look at this person, look at that person. It's wonderful. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. Really, it's great to see all of you too. And have a great time. Bye-bye.
I love you, brother.
Go
great to see you.
Bye.
How's everybody doing tonight? It's great to see you guys. I'm going to be really, really honest and say that I completely forgot what time our panel was. I thought we were doing this tomorrow. And so I'm really glad that Nick said something to me about showing up because it's just been a day. So we're going to roll right through. Janice, remind everybody where you're on social media and then talk about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So on social media, my handle is @Scurriosa, SCURIIOSA. As of right now, I am currently a contributor to the White Sox team over at CHGO Sports. It's a brand new sports media outlet sprung up in Chicago lately. Right now, we're in Denver and Phoenix as well. Chicago, or CHGO, is basically the new market in town. The new girls in town, new guys in town, actually, or just new people in town, I should rather say. But yeah, I pop in there from time to time. I am their resident off the bench. Leori Garcia / Romy Gonzalez / I think they talked about Romy Gonzalez on the last panel, and so as soon as they said, "Oh, it's the penciled in second baseman for the White Sox," that kind of hurt my heart a little bit. But I'm not going to get into too much as to why that hurts me. But any White Sox fans who are currently listening to me talk can probably commiserate. But anyway, yeah, that's where you can find me. Sometimes I will pop in at Baseball Prospectus, but otherwise, yeah, I'm essentially a person that just I am an NPC that pops up when you least expect it.
Do you always come up with like the same side quest?
Yes, exactly. Yes, I have a reward. I have a handsome reward for a handsome quest.
Perfect.
Ellen, tell people where they can reach you and talk about what you do.
I can be reached at Ellen_Adair on Twitter. I also have a post account now, which is just Ellen Adair. I beat the other Ellen Adair to post. Yeah. I am predominantly an actor. That's the main thing that I do. And there's a new movie that I am one of the leads in that is out right now called Cryptid, which you can buy or rent on basically any platform where you might do such a thing. And in terms of the baseball world, I'm also on the MLB Network show Off Base, which is super fun, and have done a little bit of writing in a few different places. But that's the main thing. I also have a podcast called Take Me Into the Ball Game, in which we grade baseball movies on the 20 to 80 scouting scale used for baseball prospects. And we get very granular with the baseball that is in these things. I think our best episode ever is we've been doing this now for like 3 years. Yeah, there's a lot of baseball movies. And our best episode ever was our most recent episode on Air Bud, where we very seriously consider the difficulties of a dog playing baseball.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that one. I'm still a little behind.
I am intrigued. We're talking about like just generally, like, say, I'm sure it probably goes over the difficulties of a dog trying to hit, right?
It does indeed. It is particularly as depicted in this film. Really the issue is that if the dog has the bat in its mouth and is swinging, it's got to take its eye off the ball. You know what I mean? Like, even if it can pick up the spin coming out of the pitcher's hand, it still has to like stop and look at the backstop for a second and then just swing blindly. And like, there's really no way for it to adjust its swing plane. It's a problem. So we talk about it.
I am insanely interested in this hypothetical situation. So I will have to check that out.
It was a good time.
I kind of wish instead of doing awards, like real life awards, that we were now doing like movie awards, because I feel like Air Bud could have been like, nominated for most unlikely to win MVP or something like that, because that would have been great. Also, Ellen does art. I don't think you mentioned
I
your
did not
amazing
mention.
artwork, which I have yet to buy some, but I am planning to in the near future.
Yay! Yeah. I do not shell out for a very expensive URL for my very small business website. But if you do go to my main website, which is ellenadair.com, you can navigate to my drawing website from there. And I have a number of like prints, and then also you can commission an original drawing if you don't see the player that you want already there.
Definitely
Thank
go
you for
follow.
bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I always love I love when I see people who aren't necessarily known for their artwork, but they're doing sports artwork, and I love to buy it because I've got stuff all in my office. So I definitely plan on getting something here in the near future. I'm just trying to figure out what I want you to draw for me. So
Great. Well, it's
we're
also one of the prizes. So if you donate to benefit the ALS
There
Association,
you go.
perhaps you can win an original Ellen Adair drawing or a print, whichever one you choose.
You know what? That is way better than the prize that I donated, which was a Justin Mason bathing suit.
I saw that, and I disagree with you that it is better. Obviously, a Justin Mason swimsuit is better. Yeah, I mean, I'm just so delighted to be joining the most attractive and charismatic panel that we've had with the two of you. I mean, regardless of whether or not I add or subtract to that, just with the two of you alone, it's already the most attractive and charismatic.
But to say, like, another prize could have been Justin, you in the bathing suit, or at least like an artist rendition of it.
Well, I actually, thanks to Pitcher List member, staff member Scott Chu, I have my own baseball card with me in the bathing suit. So if Nick wants, I'm happy to donate a signed baseball card of me in the bathing suit.
I've seen this picture.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But you could reach me on Twitter at Justin Mason FWFB. I do stuff, but I'm not nearly as talented as these two who have joined me here today, and we are talking about awards and who we kind of predict are going to win some of these MLB awards. Let's start with AL MVP because that is one of the big ones. So with you, Alan, who do you got for AL MVP?
First of all, I just want to say I like this whole award prediction thing so much because I sort of feel like it's just what universe do you want to live in?
Mm-hmm.
Because like fantasy analysis is like it's like a range of outcomes, but it's like picking the one guy who's going to win the one award. It's like the year when like Jake Arrieta and Dallas Keuchel won the Cy Young. Like we can't know. We can't possibly know. So I'm just going to pick the things that make me happy. So that being said, I really feel like predicting anyone but Shohei Ohtani here is forecasting something terrible to happen to Shohei Ohtani, and I'm not going to do that. Like, that's not a universe that I want to live in. I sort of think he should have won the MVP last year, and like, I don't care who boos me in the chat or the comments or whatever. I feel like even if the Yankees didn't get a super bouncy fun ball, I think voting might have been different in that case. And even before I heard about that, I was still on Team Ohtani for winning the MVP. So that's my answer.
What about you, Janice? Are you in agreement here?
Kind of a drum roll here. So, Ellen, I totally agree that while going through all these picks, I definitely was kind of creating Janice's fantasy MLB fun world. So it was essentially like revisiting Tumblr from 2012 and just like making up this entire universe with like all this lore, and anything goes, just mainly because it is who I think is going to win these awards, and whether or not anyone thinks that there's any validation behind them, I absolutely do not care. I absolutely don't care. But anyway, to cut to the chase, yes, Ellen, my pick was also Shohei Ohtani because I feel as if it is the most obvious choice. Not only that, but he's also in a contract year. He's about to land in a massive pile of money. So, I mean, he's going to ball out this year. He does every year. It's essentially just the one thing that you have to absolutely predict. I don't know. I feel as if it's just a little bit too obvious of a prediction there. I was trying to also find, who might win that isn't Shohei. And I think there's always, your Mike Trout, of course. But I don't know. It all just goes back to Shohei, in my opinion. But anyway, like you, I feel as if he should just win every year.
I agree. I agree. Like he's a unicorn plus a dragon. Like we're lucky to be alive to see him.
If the unicorn was a pitcher and the dragon was a hitter, or
Yeah.
is it the other way around?
I would think the unicorn would be the hitter since it has the horn to hit with.
Yeah, and the dragon is a fireballer.
Yep, nailed it. See, there we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he was an even better dragon this year than he was last year, you know? Like it's crazy. Like his K rate went up like 4 points. And he pitched more innings and he had like a 2.33 ERA. Anyway, it's crazy.
This is essentially my Tumblr fantasy just like come to life here. Just like Shohei, the dragon, unicorn, fireballer, ball masher. There you go.
Justin, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I have to sweep it here. Like, I mean, I want to be kind of cute with it and be like, oh, it's Cedric Mullins. Of course it's Cedric Mullins. Or, or come up with another answer. But Ohtani is a cheat code. And, like, it's unfair to everybody else that he is so good at two things all at the same time. And I think the only reason, I mean, one, obviously it took, like, an amazing, like, out of, like this world season for him to be dethroned, but I also think the voters just don't like to vote for the same person 2 years in a row. And so like I feel like unless something seriously goes wrong, he's winning MVP this year in the American League. Let's go over to the National League where maybe there's a little bit more of a debate, especially because I know we do have a Phillies fan on the panel. Janice, I'll let you start though. Who you got for National League MVP?
All right, this one I went with Juan Soto. So, Ellen, are you mad at me? I'm so sorry.
I'm not mad at you at all. No, I love I love your universe. That's all I'm gonna say.
Also too, one thing that I neglected to mention at the very top of this podcast is for guidance, I used a lot of betting lines for some picks, partially for inspiration, mostly for validation, but all the betting lines seem to agree with me with this one. I feel as if now he's going to be settled in San Diego. There's really not much of a choice for him to continue to live up to the hype. So similar to someone else's numbers that I may talk about later on in the show, his Savant page just shows a ridiculously high percentage for hard hit, xWOBA, x slugging. He just seems to be improving every year. So nowhere to go but up.
Yeah. I also picked Juan Soto. And now, see, I didn't look at any of the betting lines. And the rule for myself that I made after the Ohtani pick was I just can't pick anybody who has won the award before because that's boring. But I was like, but I still get to pick Juan Soto. And I love a world in which I get to forecast a big bounce back year because, he's 24 years old, and I don't think anybody thinks that his best years are behind him. And if that's the case, if he's still got his best year ahead of him, that means he's going to hit like better than 1,000 OPS. I'm not counting his 1185 OPS in 2020 because that was a small sample. And like, can one believe that he had an 1185 OPS and he led the NL with his triple slash and he was 5th in MVP voting? Like, he just keeps getting robbed. And I feel like since we're all agreed that he's an MVP caliber player, like, why not now? Maybe he was distracted by like the contract negotiations and maybe he got that sort of awkward adjustment phase with the new team out of the way at the end of the year. And he's just going to be like fired up to get back on track this year. And I also feel like if I want to turn from narrative street onto whatever, like cute little numbers drive, anybody can see that last year, his down year, like he had a BABIP that is 60 points lower than his career average, which includes that BABIP aberration of last year. So even if he has a 312 BABIP, which is his lowest to date, in not like a 363, he's going to be amazing. He's going to be himself. So like one of the best hitters that's ever lived. Yeah. Yes, I did consider Trey Turner here. I'm not saying my picks aren't emotional, but I'm trying not to be a homer about it.
Well, I guess in the hopes that we're not going to have the same pick for every single award, I'm going to go a different route because I did have Juan Soto as my guy. And I'm just gonna kind of send a shot across the bow at Ellen and say,
oh no,
the best player on the best team is going to be the MVP in the National League. And last year, I don't care what the record said, the team that made it to the World Series was the Philadelphia Phillies. And I'm going to say that JT Realmuto, who does so much as a catcher, is going to be the MVP. I feel like he is completely underrated, from a real life sense and a fantasy sense. Now you've got new base running rules that are going to allow guys to steal more bases. Could we have a guy go 25 at the catcher position? Like, I feel like if they're a team that can compete for that division, which I think they should be able to, even without Bryce Harper for half the season, I think JT Realmuto is kind of my dark horse guy to win NL MVP this year. There we go.
I'm actually wearing a Realmuto jersey.
Incredible.
Yes.
I refuse to believe that what was accidental.
I feel like I willed it. Like, actually, like my good universe is continuing to exist. I thought when you said shot across the bow that you were going to pick Acuna to like truly bounce back from his injury, which I also very strongly considered here. So shout out to
Acuna was actually my dark horse pick. But I may speak of him later on in the show. So.
Oh, I see. Oh, smart.
Spoilers.
There we go. I'll talk about Acuna now. Like, I'm just a little bit worried about like what happened to that power, but I think he will bounce back. No problem. Let's move over to the pitching side and talk about the Cy Young guys. This is a pitcher-less thing. I probably should have led off with the pitchers, but pitchers get way too much love here. We need a hitter list too. So, but let's start with AL Cy Young. Ellen, who is your guy that you think could take that down?
So, speaking of a universe in which injuries are resolved, I am putting it out into the universe that Shane McClanahan's shoulder impingement was no big thing and that an offseason of rest wipes the slate clean. And, yes, he was not, excellent when he came back in midseason, but he was good in his postseason appearance, and he even went 7 innings. So, first of all, my argument here is that I think the Corbin Burns Cy Young has shown us that once you get to a certain number of innings, that it's not really going to hold voters back. So McClanahan went 166 this past season. And so if he goes even 180 this year, but just does Shane McClanahan things the whole time, I think that will suffice for voters. It's just the changeup and the curve are so good, and per Nick and Alex frequent conversations, he even got better at getting whiffs with the fastball this past year. So all of that for the second best CSW in 2022 and 10th best in hard contact. So good to combine those two skills. A .93 whip, that is a whip you can take home to meet your parents. It is beautiful. I don't think anything else needs to be said.
I love that line. I'm going to steal that line.
Please do. I didn't know it was coming out of my mouth until it was.
Janice, who you got for American League Cy Young?
All right. I have Garrett Cole. I'm honestly kind of shocked that he hasn't won a Cy Young award yet. And just looking at his 2022 numbers, his numbers already imply that he's better than he actually is. So a lower xERA than his ERA, lower xFIP than his FIP, and his projections just suggest that he's going to be even more ridiculous next year. So I guess why not? Why not? He's a good pitcher, but has the potential to be a great pitcher. So that is my AL Cy Young pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna copy Janice here and say that Garrett Cole. There's a lot of people that have been wearing the tinfoil hats, saying that Aaron Judge getting juice balls really hurt Garrett Cole, and that's one of the reasons why that home run rate. I heard it on a Pitcherless podcast, that On the Corner podcast with Mr. Alex Fast and Nick Pollock. I've heard it on a few other places, and you know what? I absolutely buy it. And I think that this is a little bit of a redemption tour for him. As long as the guy I think could challenge him for it doesn't split the votes, because I think Carlos Rodon is going to be just fine in New York. Being a lefty, I think he'll neutralize a lot of that short porch effect and be really, really good. So I think Carlos Rodon, as long as he stays healthy, could be in the running. But Garrett Cole, yeah, I think he is the guy in for the AL.
I'm totally wearing that tinfoil hat, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the second thing I thought after I read that story was I was like, oh, like Garrett Cole's home run to fly ball rate for some reason suddenly makes a lot of sense. And like Harrison Bader coming over and suddenly hitting all kinds of homers, despite the fact that they shaved off all of his hair. Anyway, I'm still getting over it. It makes me so sad. He had the most beautiful hair in baseball and now it's gone. Anyway, I also strongly considered Rodon here, actually. Just, he's so good. And that strikeout rate is just so beautiful.
Miss you, Carlos.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
as a Giants fan, I'm going to miss him. I mean, it's
yeah. As a White Sox fan, I'm just like, we couldn't even give him a qualifying offer.
I don't understand what. Sorry, Janice. It's
hard for both of you, but it's more hard for Janice. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I've won enough championships
I am
recently.
the oppressed one here.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about the ineptitude of my team because I'm still riding high off of those championships. So, let's go over to the National League, Cy Young, and Janice, I'll let you lead this one off.
Absolutely, I went with Max Fried. So he finished second in Cy Young voting last year, made a huge jump last year too. Strikeout upside is amazing, great expected stats. And of course too, he's going to throw a lot of innings for Atlanta. And I feel as if he's one of the best in baseball. Gold Glove, All-Star nod. He is only going to get better. I just enjoy watching him pitch. He's a delight.
I don't have a problem with that. I hope that lack of strikeouts don't negatively affect him in the voters' eyes. That's like my only major concern with a guy like Fried is like that there are some people who are really like strikeout proponents when they're voting.
Although my pick might not be a lot better here. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I mean, all right, with the proviso that I feel like the most likely people here are like the last two people who won it. And so if I was betting and trying to make 10 cents back on my dollar, I mean, I don't exactly know how betting works. I don't do sports betting because I already care enough about the outcome of sports for it to be a little unhealthy anyway. Anyway, like I would pick Corbin Burns. I mean, you know what? Like, talk about a whip that you can take home to your mama. I mean, that whip really cleaned up, it's like the Princess Diaries, but with a whip. Anyway, I'm not picking Corbin Burns. This is going to be my most emotional choice. And I feel like I'm going slightly off the board, but I don't exactly know what's on the board. But I feel like I have a PitchCon reputation to uphold. Like, I feel like there's a certain player that I'm expected to talk about. And that player is Zach Gallen. Now, look, I know that every smart person would say, I'm wearing my Gallen Gals shirt, that he's not going to have a 44-inning scoreless streak, ergo he will regress next year. Like, fair. But what if he doesn't have a 44-inning scoreless streak, but still is like basically almost that good with just like there's a run or two peppered in? What if that's who he is under the tutelage of Brent Strom? Like, the curveball was so good. And oh my god, he had a .91 whip. What am I going to do with myself? Sorry, I just scrolled past that trying to get to the data to make my next point. Okay, so look, or even better, what if that's who he is, but he can somehow get his old changeup action back? Because it seems like it's not diving out of the zone like it did in 2019 and 2020. When it was good for a 23% swinging strike rate and a 31 to 35% CSW. So maybe that's just a small sample, or maybe it's batters adjusting to it, but legitimately it's catching a lot more of the zone now. I mean, comparatively, it's Zach Gallen. We'll get there. At 38% than it was in 2019 at only 21%. When I first compared his changeups to chocolate dipped strawberries. Like, so just watching him pitch this past year, I was like, oh, these are just like regular strawberries, and that's fine. But so if we know two things about Zach Gallen, it's one, he's so good at that edge percentage, right? Like he really gets the curve down and the changeup down. And with the fastball, he hits the arm side of the zone or the outside of the zone a lot more often than the average pitcher. And I think this is why he's really like a whole more than the sum of its parts type of pitcher. But the second thing is, yes, there's not this outstanding whiff pitch because the curveball is good, but like it's not at the top of the leaderboards or anything. But if the changeup could get back to that 23% swinging strike rate, it would be up there. And his entire 2022 campaign was without that. So Zach Gallen, why not? It's the universe I want to live in. And I wasn't going to pick Aaron Nola because that just felt like, too much of a homer pick. So.
Oh my God. Like, I honestly can't even cope with this right now. Like, I feel like betrayed, but also validated. Because my pick was Zach Gallen too.
Oh my God.
And I really thought you were going with Aaron Nola there as a homer pick, as like, I thought you were going to get up and do the dance and everything.
He pitched 225 innings, like it might be a lot of mileage on that arm for him to like turn around and have a Cy Young year this year.
I think that's fair. But I'm just a huge fan of Zach Gallen. I've got him as like a top 10 starting pitcher in fantasy this year. I just am so in love with what he does and his potential. And I think people are just ignoring him largely because he's in Arizona. And I don't think people get enough eyes to see what he does with that repertoire. I agree. I think he can take another step forward. This is just unreal. I really thought this was going to be our first one where we had one where we all had a different pick, because I was sure you were going with Aaron Nola right there. Literally was about to like say it as you then said Zach Gallen, and stole my pick once again. So maybe on this one we'll each have a different pick, but who knows at this point. Let's start off with you, Janice, in AL Rookie of the Year.
Oh boy. So prospects I know next to fucking nothing about. So I
oh my God. What is this?
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
No!
I didn't even make a joke about edging this time.
What did I do?
This is a family-friendly show, Janice.
Oh, sorry. I am from the south side of Chicago, so it's
unbelievable.
You totally thought it was going to be me. Say it. Say you thought it was going to be me that dropped the first F-bomb.
I thought it was going to be you.
Yeah.
Of course it's me. What the hell? Oh, am I
believe in both of you.
Oh, heck. Sorry. Oh, okay. HECK. There we go.
Oh, you're my hero, Janice.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, I just did some quick research on this. Please take this with a grain of salt. I picked Hunter Brown. Just looking at his stats from last year, 22 batters and 20 innings. I know, like, small sample size, as everyone says. I think that mid to upper 90s fastball is pretty great. Curveball. I've seen video of the slider, lots of strikeout upside. But yeah, we just need to see more innings out of him. But otherwise, yeah, that's my pick.
I love it. I love that pick. And here, I feel like these picks I feel like are pretty chalky. I feel like I can try to get cute with the National League Rookie of the Year if I really, really want to. But for me, I don't know. It feels boring. It's Gunnar Henderson. Like, I tried hard to get cute with this. And I do feel like his teammate, Grayson Rodriguez, seems like another super viable option. But even if his lat strain last year didn't sort of cloud the picture, I think it's always going to just be harder for a rookie pitcher to win this award, pitching like 120, 130 innings than a position player playing every day. I sort of feel like we saw that with Spencer Strider and Michael Harris this past year. And I feel like there's also such an advantage with a player that we know is going to be on the opening day roster too. So also Gunnar Henderson is really good. He hit 297, 416, 531 with 19 homers between AA and AAA last year. And then he didn't seem at all overmatched in the majors. Sorry if you can hear the siren. I live in New York City. What can I do? But in the majors, he hit 259, 348, 440 with 4 homers in 34 games, which is good for a 126 WRC plus. And he also walked 12% in the majors, which is sort of like his minor league track record. And that was a result on him really working to cut down on chasing out of the zone in the previous year. So he has struggled a little bit against lefties, but I'm hopeful that that shows that he can adjust. And I also think, we saw what kind of a catalyst Adley Rutschman was for the Orioles last year. It's obviously a team that's primed to really center around what their emerging talent can bring. And also his hair adds at least 0.5 WAR, if not more.
A big hair person you are, obviously.
I do enjoy. I mean, Alec Boehm's hair is also really beautiful. I just want to give a shout out to Alec Boehm's hair whenever possible. It's like Renaissance angel hair when you look at it. You're like, how's that possible?
Hair should contribute to WAR, in my opinion. I'm just going to talk to the folks at Fangraphs about that.
As a person who works at Fangraphs, I am glad that they don't use hair as a requirement to get hired there, because that would have been a problem for me. So
I'm sure you're not the only one.
We would just do adjusted WAR for those without hair to make it fair.
That.
To make it fair.
Yeah. I appreciate that. All right, well, here we go. So we got one that's going to be different for everybody. I had a hard time with the American League Rookie of the Year. It wasn't an easy one. There are a number of interesting options. I was really tempted to go with Henderson's teammate, Grayson Rodriguez, because I think he's going to be really, really good. And there's no reason why the Orioles should send him back down to the minors, even though they keep acquiring mediocre pitchers to block him for some reason. Cole Irvin? Why? I'm no one's a bigger fan of Kyle Gibson than me, but
True.
Why? Why is this happening? So with the chance that he does for some reason not make the majors for a little while, I'm going to go to another hitter and a third baseman, but I'm going to go to Josh Young in Texas. He got up last year. I know that the numbers did not look good last year in AAA and in the majors. However, let's remember he had what was supposed to be a season-ending injury in spring training. He wasn't supposed to play at all and got 100 plate appearances both at AAA and in the majors. This is a guy who has real power, has shown really, really good approach and contact skills in the minor leagues. I think a full offseason of health means that he is going to have a really, really big year in Texas. He should have that job all to himself to start the season. Give me all the shares of Josh Young this year.
Certainly, to be had at a more reasonable draft position. If you're trying to put together a team. I was kind of like, oh, that strikeout rate. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's fair. But he's shown really good strikeout rates in the minor leagues prior to coming back from the shoulder injury. So I'm willing to give him a little bit of a pass.
I like that. That's also the universe I want to live in. Yeah.
I do have some concerns about Henderson as well. I'm probably the low man in the industry on Gunnar Henderson for this year. I think he's going to be good long term, but I do worry about his platoon splits and that park a little bit. So I'm a little and he didn't really run when he got to the majors. So a little worried for fantasy about Gunnar Henderson. Like I said, long term, I think it's going to be fun.
The platoon splits are valid. I totally agree.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to National League Rookie of the Year, and I'll let you start there, Ellen.
Oh gosh, do I try to get cute with it?
Yes.
Why not?
All right. I'm gonna pick Kodai Senga. So I just feel like of the Japanese players, I think that he seems like perhaps the most talented. I mean, not that I've watched them pitch, right, or play in the case of Yoshida. But he had a 1.89 ERA and a 1.04 WHIP last year in 148 innings, both of which marks could get much higher and still be excellent. And he can throw up to 100 miles an hour. And he also has a pitch called the ghost fork, because I guess it dies right in the middle of the zone and the batters are just swinging at its ghost. Or maybe because the pitch just stops responding to your text messages. I don't know. So that, I mean, yes, that I just, in order to not feel like I'm picking the other most obvious person to pick, I'm going to pick Senga.
All right. Janice, who do you got for National League Rookie of the Year?
I am reaching back into my fantasy world, and I picked this person just mainly because I just know who he is. So I went with Garrett Mitchell. So he was the first round draft pick for the Brewers in 2020, made his MLB debut late last year, had some good speed, had some good defense, great on base ability, a really high stolen base upside. So he finished last year with an 832 OPS through 68 plate appearances. So again, I'm in a vacuum. I am in a fantasy vacuum world. I just happen to know who he is. I remember when he was drafted. So that is my NL Rookie of the Year pick.
I'm absolutely shocked. Nobody took the easy answer in Corbin Carroll.
Well, that's,
and you know,
I was trying not to take it, but yeah, anyway.
And I'm not going to either.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Incredible.
So I'm taking Jordan Walker of the Cardinals. I had a great podcast that I did with Friends Fantasy Benefits for the Cardinals preview with Matt Thompson, who's a prospect guy at Prospects Live and a huge Cardinals guy as well. And he thinks, and I agree, that Jordan Walker's going to make the opening day roster and that he is just going to mash from day one. I got to see him in person at the Arizona Fall League. He is legitimately really, really good. I think there is a really, really good chance he makes that opening day roster, plays every day, and just absolutely has like a Bobby Witt, a Julio Rodriguez rookie season where he just, makes everybody regret for not taking him super late right now, because in March, when we find out that he is going to make that team, his price is going to go up to the 4th, 5th round for fantasy. The Cardinals have 8 players who are playing in the WBC. He's going to get to play every day in spring training and be front and center and force the Cardinals to bring him up. So Jordan Walker is my National League Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, the reason that I've been like, well, I think it's going to be Corbin Carroll is because I thought that he wasn't going to maybe be up until like mid-season. I don't know. That's crazy. I love this information.
Yeah.
It's the universe I want to live in.
And I will say, Matt Thompson told me about this time last year that Julio Rodriguez was going to make the opening day roster. And he was right. So when I talk about prospects, Matt Thompson's one of my go-to guys in the industry.
Yeah, good track record.
So, all right, let's move into our last award, which is the Comeback Players of the Year. Janice, you seem to be ready for this one. So give me your AL Comeback Player of the Year.
Oh boy. All right. So I'm venturing back into Homer territory here with this one. And a handful of you may already know who I am going to pick. First of all, I just want to say hi to Jordan Haas, who just said hi to me in the chat. Hi, Jordan. Thanks for saying hi to me. Just wanted to say hi back. Anyway, my AL Comeback Player of the Year is Yasmani Grandal. This is very selfish, very self-serving, and probably not very well warranted. But you know what? I don't care. This is my list, and I get to decide what's on it. He fell off in 2022. He fell off hard. This was especially heartbreaking to me, someone who is a huge Yasmani Grandal fan. Anyway, he fell off. I suggest that he gets back on. This dude used to clobber all sorts of pitches, breaking balls, and that's what made his power special. And so I completely recognize that this is selfish, this is wishful thinking, but as a White Sox fan, I am due penance. And even if there's no way in heck, see, I said heck, that they're winning the division, seeing a Yaz resurgence is what we need. This is what my heart needs. This would greatly cut down on my therapy bills if this happened. I'm not even sure that he will even play 145 games, let alone as catcher. But you know what? I don't care. Fangraphs projections see him improving at least a little bit. But positive WAR is always better than negative WAR, at least from what I'm told. Yasmani is at least allegedly healthy, and that is enough for me to make this incredibly wild claim.
I love it. I love it. I thought you see, the beauty of it is with the White Sox, you'd probably have about 4 or 5 guys who would qualify for this award.
You could throw a hot dog and hit a player that is due for a bounce back on this team. The White Sox are so incredibly bad. It's just like I honestly don't have any qualifiers for this. They are just bad. There is no way around it. There's no way to be cute about it. They're just heckin' terrible.
All right, Ellen, who you got for your American League comeback?
I almost want to pick Yasmani Grandal just to like send more positive juju in Janice's direction. But that was not the person that I thought before. This is actually, I feel like, my most reasoned one and least just emotional. Because I feel like the award is partly about finding somebody who like sort of fits the possible description of like you had to be really good and in order to have somewhere to come back to, and then you need to have been bad and or injured in order to have somewhere to come back from. So anyway, I'm picking Luis Severino. I know he came back last year and was good, but then he had that lat injury and he only pitched 106 innings. I mean, that's not a negligible amount. But the point is, he didn't get the Comeback Player of the Year award. And so I think that makes him still eligible. And I think at 28, the Yankees will certainly, not worry about him making the jump to like 180, 190 innings if he's healthy enough to do it. And it was a bigger jump actually between 2016 and 2017. So I think that's not going to be an issue. So he doesn't even need to improve his on-field performance. He just needs to stay on the field. So if you can just get a full season of like a 3.18 ERA and you don't have somebody like Justin Verlander ramming around with an ERA that you need to pick up with tweezers, it could be his. So yeah. That's least wish casting, but most rational choice.
That's a really good call, and I really do like Severino this year. He is in a contract year as well, so the Yankees have no reason not to push him, and he has no reason not to push himself. So he's a guy that could definitely exceed kind of like the innings jumps that we normally see for a guy who only threw 100 innings, and maybe even get to like 180, just because he's trying to get a massive contract for next season. So I really like that call a lot. I'm going to go same position, different team, but same division and go with Chris Sale. I think, I know a lot of people are like taking victory laps from, a decade of saying that Chris Sale would break down and finally being right. But you look at all the injuries last year and they were about as fluky as could be. Like he fell off a bike, got hit with a comebacker, like these are like weird things that kind of derail the season. And when
Chris Sale things,
yeah, that is true though, and I think you do have to kind of put that in there. He does like to punch random things as well, so I could definitely look silly. And well. He's bad with scissors, or good with scissors, depending on how you want to look at it.
Very successful, yeah.
I think he's a guy who also has a chip on his shoulder. He just came out recently and said, like, hey, I owe Red Sox fans the guy that the Red Sox paid. I'm hoping he comes out and has that chip on his shoulder, goes out, throws a really, really nice season, and is the comeback player of the year this year.
I think actually that's what I prefer. That would be the universe I'd rather live in. One in which Chris Sale was very good. It's just his last full season in 2019 wasn't all that great. I mean, it's possible that he was pitching through the issue that ended up becoming Tommy John to begin with. And, maybe all of those weird injuries last year have just given him more chance to really, really rest his elbow. And he's going to be so rested. And he's going to be back to old Chris Sale.
I'm just glad none of those injuries were elbow or shoulder or anything like that. Like he should be ready to go, hopefully, once he enters the season.
Yeah, the rib one was weird, but yeah, anyway. They were all weird. Let's not
they
create a hierarchy here.
All right, Ellen, go ahead and give me your National League comeback player of the year.
I'm going to pick Christian Yelich. I mean, I don't know that I think it's super likely, but it is what I want to see. And like, he's still like a perfectly cromulent baseball player. He had 111 WRC plus this past season. He stole 19 bases, so he can still get around. And his max exit velocity this past year was 117, which is as good as his 2019 season. So if the real issue now is his power, like maybe he's never hitting 44 homers again because that was 2019 and like only the Yankees get those kinds of baseballs now. But like his hard hit rate was still in the top 10% this past year. So the issue seems to be the launch angle, which was 11.3 in 2019 and has been around 3 for the past 2 seasons. And that's really the cause for the drop in barrel rate and the drop in power, not the hard hit. And I understand maybe it's about not being able to torque as successfully with a back injury. And I understand that like it's easier to hit the ball hard on the ground than it is to hit the ball hard and loft it. But he's such a smart player and so well-rounded that I just don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he can figure out a way to loft the ball again. And, you know, even though his back injuries are worrying, he still played 154 games this past season. So it wasn't like an injury-riddled lost season, and maybe he can make this adjustment.
I don't know if he technically qualifies because he played a whole season, but I hope you're right because I'm a big,
I feel
I'm a
like
big
can't you just go like not be yourself and then be yourself again? Does it
go
have to
from
be
being like
injury related?
I don't know. I don't think it has to be injury related, but he like what is he coming back from? Just mediocrity?
Yeah, I mean, like
He wasn't
struggling through his
bad.
back injury. I know, but like I guess I thought of it as like you're back to who you were.
Right. Yeah. So
I hope you're right. I've got Yelich already on a bunch of teams, so like,
Right.
I hope you're right. I don't know that I believe it, but I will wish cast.
I
that
tried
one.
to make the case for it.
specifically
I
going
don't know that I
from
believe it either.
okay to being like amazing again, like going back to that 2018 form.
There we go. I like
That's
that.
what we
All
want
right.
to see.
All right, Janice, who you got?
All right. So I had two picks here. So I'm just going to tell you guys both of them because I don't care. And so I'm going to make y'all listen to them both. But anyway, I thought it was funny because someone in the comments said that the top 5 of the 2019 MVP voting could fit into the NL or Comeback Player of the Year. And 2 of those guys I actually picked. So my first one is Cody Bellinger. There's a lot to bounce back from here. Way too high of an upside here. He's healthy now. He's in a prove it year. He's due for a bounce back, but let's be honest, he's been due for a bounce back right now. But besides the personal interest to succeed in 2023, he's hitting in a new ballpark. He's got a whole new team, a whole new just environment altogether. He's got a 964 career OPS at Wrigley Field, so he's going to hit very well at that ballpark. So he's going to bounce back. I just feel it. My other comeback player of the year is Ronald Acuna Jr. So his numbers last year were okay. They were okay. 15 homers, 24 doubles. Definitely could have been better. But if you look at his Savant profile, he's still clobbering the ball. So high hard hit percentage, high expected batting average. So it's pretty obvious that he's going to be better. So either one of those two. If one of them actually wins the award, I'll feel vindicated. If one of them doesn't, I don't know. Maybe I'll just cry. Or no, I'm kidding. I won't care. But anyway, those are my 2 picks.
I think if Acuna bounces back in the way that he should bounce back, he's probably an MVP. And I think that becomes he probably overshadows his own award because of his performance. If that's the case, I think Cody Bellinger's a great call. He was a guy that was on my list for sure. I don't know if he's broken or not. Like I really don't know if he is. And I want him to be better, especially now that he's not on the Dodgers. But I honestly have no idea. I'll take the gamble though in fantasy. I think the price is finally cheap enough.
Yeah, I mean, he was the first person that I thought of that I'd most actually like if I had a magic wand to just like be able to fix somebody, because just it's so perplexing. But there's just this part of me that is like, the Dodgers couldn't fix him. And like, no shade on the Cubs, but like the Dodgers couldn't fix him. That just worries me. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they were just too close to it though, right? Like, you can't always fix what you break. Sometimes you have to like give it away to like someone else, even if they're less talented at fixing things. You just can't focus on it in that way. I hope that's the case.
Life truths with Justin Mason. You can't always fix what you break. It's so good.
Yeah.
Put it on.
Putting my therapy cap on right there.
Yeah.
Letting the day job kind of blend over into the night job. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm going to pick someone who was absolutely atrocious last year, but has been great for a really, really long time. And there is a potential reason why he was so atrocious. And now he's going to a really, really good team around him. That's Nelson Cruz. I think some people have just buried Nelson Cruz because he's old. Again, the same people doing those Chris Sale victory laps the last decade, waiting for the last decade of Chris Sale to break down, have been waiting for Nelson Cruz's age to catch up with him, and they finally got rewarded last year. But he couldn't see. He had eye surgery in the offseason, and supposedly his vision is now fixed. Now he's going to San Diego, where he could just be in the middle of an amazing lineup, potentially one of the best lineups in all of baseball. Right in fantasy, he is legitimately free. I know people hate when they say that, but he's going like pick 600 or something like that in fantasy right now. I'm taking a gamble that my boy Nelson Cruz, old man Cruz, who makes me feel young, is going to have a bounce back season, be the comeback player of the year.
I love this pick, but I feel like there's really only one person that I could think of, or maybe two, that wouldn't make me happy to win the comeback player of the year. Like it's a real feel good award in that way.
I'd like to know who these players that you wouldn't be happy.
I mean, I think one of them is unlikely to sign with a major league team.
Okay.
Yeah. And another one also has domestic violence allegations against them.
Yeah, you and me, same page. Yeah.
Just those reasons are the only reasons why. Yeah,
I would
don't
hope
come
they
back. Please just stay over there.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna come back, and therefore won't be eligible. But I don't think people like that should be eligible for an award of any sort, but definitely comeback player of the year. We've got in the chat some people being like, they forgot Chris Bryant exists. I think Chris Bryant is a fine choice of someone, but he also has to be healthy, and I'm not 100% sure. I know they're saying that he's healthy, but I think every team outside of the Boston Red Sox talking about Mondesi's knee is saying that their players are healthy. Like, Jesse Winker is apparently healthy too right now, and I don't know that I buy that at all either. Mm-hmm. So I think I need to see Chris Bryant like actually on a field before I'm going to be willing to say he's going to be healthy for a full season. That being said, like, I don't think it's a bad pick. It's just not my pick.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that. I feel like the ones that occurred to me more in my psyche were the ones that were like a mystery, like we know what happened with Chris Bryant. And I was like, if only we could just, solve this somehow. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's a great pick. Chris Bryant.
It's an interesting pick.
Yeah, it looks like we have about 4 minutes left or something like that before Nick comes in, kicks us out. Before I get your guys' last thoughts, I just want to give you an opportunity to plug any work you're doing and where you can reach on social media once again. So Janice, remind everybody where people can find all of your work and where they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. So I am currently contributing to CHGO Sports. I'm currently on the White Sox beat, and I also was on the Chicago Sky beat. I may be returning, depending on some things moving in the universe. So if those of you who are into women's basketball, definitely tune in there sometime. So my Twitter handle is Scurriosa, SCURIIOSA. So typically when I am not doing any baseball stuff, I am worried about where Candace Parker is going to sign in free agency. So if that's your jam, come find me over there. If it isn't, then whatever. But anyway.
Absolutely the best. Absolutely the best. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my deal. I'm sticking to it.
Ellen, where can people find you at? And please let people know about all of your work.
At Ellen_Adair on Twitter, at Ellen Adair G on Instagram, which I neglected to mention earlier, and Ellen Adair on Post. And you can see me in the movie Cryptid, which I mentioned earlier. And you can also find links to, like, I wrote a book, and also I do drawings, and that's all at ellenadair.com.
And then you can, of course, reach me on Twitter at Justin Mason FWFB. I'm on the Sleep on the Bus podcast, the Friends of Fantasy Benefits podcast, TGFBI podcast. You can sign up for TGFBI through the end of the month. Go sign up, people. It is going to be another fantastic year of TGFBI. Podapalooza is coming up. I guess I'll just make an announcement about my live stream event.
Whoa, hey.
So Podapalooza will be coming the last weekend of February, which will lead into TGFBI drafts starting the last Monday of February. So I will be getting sign-up information out to all those people who want to participate for that. We will be raising money for a organization that I haven't decided which one it's going to be yet, but it'll be a great organization. I just don't know which one it is yet. So
Great tease.
yeah. So and you'll be able to win amazing prizes just like here at Pitcherlist. Keep donating for PitchCon. It's an amazing weekend, multiple days, not even a weekend anymore. Nick like turned it up a notch. Like
You
I
guys
can only
turned it up.
I couldn't only do a weekend because otherwise my wife would divorce me. But I just want to thank both Ellen and Janice. This was so much fun. And you guys made me laugh so hard. And you just really carried me through this segment. I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing.
My job here is done. That's what I just wanted to make you laugh. That's all.
You're amazing. Justin, I've said it so many times, but like I only get to be a baseball person at all in any way because of you and because you first asked me to come on Sleeper in the Bus. So I'm just so grateful to you every day of my life. You're like the best. You're the best.
I'm grateful for everyone here. Yeah, you too, Nick.
Yes.
Everyone present is amazing. I think you're all wonderful people. And thanks so much for listening to me rant about stuff.
Well, thank you all for being here. Seriously, I'm very stoked about Papalooza. I'm so happy that's back. Yes,
It is. It's
obviously
back.
we'll be signing up for that. That's incredibly exciting. But yeah, thank you all so much for being a part of this event. That was great. Obviously, it was gonna be Zach Gallen, guys. We know that is what Ellen was gonna do. The clip of her talking about edge percentage is the most watched clip on my Twitch channel. Okay, so we know this. We know these things. But no,
I have a
really,
reputation to uphold.
I was surprised. I mean, I just assumed it was going to be Nola. And so I was taken aback. And also, I feel vindicated as well, like because that was going to be my pick. So
absolutely. I mean, it's supposed to be Sandy Alcantara, guys. I'm just telling you right now. But anyway, a second time.
They don't like
Janice,
to give
of course,
the award.
I didn't let you know this was family friendly. I know that surprised you. Everyone was wondering, is Nick going to show up right now? I'm like, I have to.
I'm sure Janice was very confused after hearing your just expletive-laden rant and letter that you read on the air just a few hours ago. So if you have not seen that,
it was blank.
Please go watch Nick reading that letter.
That is
during my wife's
not necessary.
Can I say one last thing?
Please.
Aaron Nola, I do love you. I do love you the best. And also I'm aware that I think you pitched more like 230 innings last year and not 225. That was a mistake that I just said off the top of my head. I didn't look it up. I just remembered better than I did before. That's it. That's all.
228.2 for Sandy Alcantara.
I think it was like 230
for Aaron Nola.
Including the postseason. Like those are still miles on that arm in
Mm.
terms of considering might he go the distance on the Cy Young.
That is fair. That is very fair.
Still miles on the arm.
One. If only the Marlins made the playoffs. Anyway,
before you take us out, I remembered what the charity that Potapalooza is raising money for. And it is called Keep Playing Baseball. It's an organization that helps promote baseball, youth baseball, helps minor leaguers. It's run by Batflip Crazy, Toby G's brother. We do an event every year with them that is a trivia night, and we are going to be raising money for them.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. Well, thank you all so much for being part of PitchCon. What a great way to end day 3, and especially on a Friday night. So thanks for being here. I'll see you all soon. Take care.
Waving like we're on a ship.
Bye.